My first thought was, he lied in every word. That hoary cripple with malicious eye askance to watch the working of his lie on mine, and mouth scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that pursed and scored its edge, at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What save to waylay with his lies, and snare all travelers who might find him posted there and ask the road? I guess what skull-like laugh would break that Cretigan write my epitaph for pastime in the dusty thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside into that ominous tract which all agree hides the dark tower, yet acquiescingly I did turn as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end descried, so much as gladness that some end might be. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost not fit to cope with that obscurous joy success would bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring my heart made, finding failure in its scope. As when a sick man, very near to death, seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end, the tears intakes the farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath freer outside. Since all is over, he saith, and the blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discuss if near the other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with care about the banners, scarves, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves, he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had so long suffered in this quest, heard failure prophesied, so oft been writ, so many times among the band to wit, the knights who to the dark tower's search addressed their steps, that just to fail as they seemed best, and all the doubt was now, should I be fit? So quite as despair I turned from him. That hateful cripple, out of his highway into the path appointed, all the day had been a dreary one at best, and dim was settling to its close, yet shot one grim, red leer to see the plain catch its estray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, pledged to the plain after a pace or two, than paused to throw backward a last view. Over the safe road 'twas gone, gray plain all around, nothing but plain to the horizon's bound. I might go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went. I think I never saw such starved ignoble nature, nothing throve for flowers, as well expected as cedar grove. But cockle, spurge, according to their law, might propagate their kind, with none to awe. You'd think a burr had been a treasure trove. No penury, inertness, and grimness, in the strange sort, were the land's proportion. See or shut your eyes, said nature peevishly. It nothing skills, I cannot help my case. 'Tis the last judgment's fire must cure this place, calcine its clods, and set my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mates, the head was chopped, the bends were jealous else. What made those holes and rents in the dock's harsh swarth leaves, bruised as to bulk all hopes of greenness? 'Tis a brute must walk, pashing their life out with a brute's intents. As for the grass, it grew as scant as hair, and leprosy thin dry blades pricked the mud, which underneath looked kneaded up with blood. One stiff blind horse, his every bone a stare, stood stupefied, however he came there, thrust out past service from the devil's stud. Alive? He might be dead for aught I know, with that red gaunt and calloped neck astrain, and shut eyes underneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must be wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart. As a man calls for wine before he fights, I'd ask one draught of earlier, happier sights. Or fitly I could hope to play my part. Think first, fight afterwards, the soldier's art. One taste of the old time sets all to rights. Not it, I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face, beneath it garnitured of curly gold, dear fellow, till I almost felt him fold an arm in mine to fix me to the place. That way he used, alas, one night's disgrace. Outwit my heart's new fire and left it cold. Giles then the soul of honor where he stands, frank as 10 years ago when knighted first. What honest man should dare, he said, he durst, Good, but the scene shifts. Faugh! What hangman hands? Pinned to his breast a parchment. His own bands read it. Poor traitor, spit upon and cursed. Better this present than a past like that. Back therefore to my darkening path again. No sound, no sight as far as eye could strain. Will the night send a howlet of a bat? I asked, when something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change their train. A sudden little river crossed my path, as unexpected as a serpent comes. No sluggish tide congeal to the glooms. This, as it frost by, might have been a bath for the friend's glowing hoof to see the wrath of its black eddy bestpat with flakes and spumes. So pretty, yet so spiteful all along, low scrubby alders kneeled down over it. Drenched willows flung them headlong in a fit of mute despair, a suicidal throng. The river which had done them all the wrong, whatever that was, rolled by, deterred no whit. Which while I forded, good saints, how I feared to set my foot upon a dead man's cheek. Each step, or feel the spear I thrust to seek, for hollows tangled in his hair or beard. It may have been a water rat I speared, but ugh, it sounded like a baby's shriek. Glad was I when I reached the other bank, for now a better country, vain presage, who where the strugglers, what war did they wage, whose savage trample thus could pad the dank, soiled to a plash, toads in a poisoned tank, or wild cats in a red-hot iron cage. The fight must so have been seemed in that fell circuit, what pinned them there, with all the plain to choose? No footprint leading to that horrid mews, none out of it. Mad brewage set to work, their brains no doubt, like gaily slaves the Turk, pits for his pastime, Christians against Jews. And more than that, a furlong on, why there? What bad use was that engine for, that wheel or brake not wheel, that harrow fit to reel men's bodies out like silk, with all the air of Topfet's tool, on earth left unaware, or brought to sharpen its rusty teeth of steel? Then came a bit of stubbed ground, once a wood, next a marsh, it would seem, and now mere earth, desperate and done with. So a fool finds mirth, makes a thing, and then mars it, till his mood changes, and off he goes within a rod, bog, clay, and rubble, sand, and stark black dearth. Now blotches rankling, colored gray and grim, now patches where some leanness of the soils broke into moss or substances like thus. Then came some pazeled oak, a cleft in him, like a distorted mouth that splits its rim, gaping at death, and dies while it recoils. And just as far as ever from the end, not in the distance, but the evening, not to point my footstep further, at the thought, a great blackbird, Apollyon's bosom friend, sailed past, nor beat his wide wing dragon penned, that brushed my cap, perchance the guide I sought. For looking up, aware I somehow grew, spite of the dusk, the plain had given place, all round to mountains, with such name to grace, mere ugly heights and heaps now stolen in view. How thus they had surprised me, solve it you. How to get from them was no clear case. Yet half I seemed to recognize some trick of mischief happened to me, God knows when. And a bad, perhaps, here ended then, progress this way, when, in the very nick of giving up, one time more, came a click, as when a trap shuts, you're inside the den. Burning, it came on me all at once. This was the place, those two hills on the right, couched like two bulls locked horn in fight, while to the left a tall scalped mountain, dunce, dotard, a dozing at the very nunce, after a life spent training for the sight. What in the midst lay but the tower itself, the round squat turret, blind as the fool's heart, built of brown stone, without a counterpart in the whole world. The tempest mocking elf points to the shipman thus the unseen shelf he strikes on only when the timbers start. Not see, because of night perhaps? Why, day came back again for that, before it left. The dying sunset kindled through a cleft. The hills like giants at a hunting lay, chin upon hand to see the game at bay. Now stab and end the creature to the heft. Not here, when noise was everywhere, it told, increasing like a bell, names in my ears of all the lost adventurers, my peers. How such a one was strong, and such was bold, and such was fortunate, yet each of old. Lost, lost. One moment knelled the woe of years. There they stood, wrangled along the hillside, met, to view the last of me, a living frame, for one more picture, in a sheet of flame. I saw them, and I knew them all, and yet dauntless, the slug horn to my lips I set, and blew. Child Ronland to the dark tower came.
So this poem is about a knight who is on this quest to the Dark Tower. He meets this man who tells him about this path he can take pretty much and tries to direct him on his journey, but the knight quickly realizes that this is a path of failure, and he ends up pretty much ditching this man. The whole poem keeps bringing back this guy saying that, he lied to him and misguided him. The poem follows his journey, and he comes into various challenges. There's at one point he's not sure how to get around hills. He is unsure of which way to go. He ends up getting stuck at a river, etc. Overall, it's just a very dark, very eerie poem. It has a very aggressive tone to it. The diction used is a lot of very negative words. Skull like laugh, saying hoary cripple, malicious eye. It's all just very eerie. So I used CRD's method to analyze this poem, and I found the speaker is a knight on a quest, as it says he's going to a dark tower. He brings up this idea of the knights. He says he's pledged to the plain. He sees brutes and soldiers' art, and it's just a lot of words that I imagine maybe knights would use or describe people. So he brings up how someone was knighted first, bringing up a traitor, possibly to whatever kingdom he is coming from. Says someone's inside a den, maybe that's what he's supposed to be protecting. And he is saying it to someone who betrayed the speaker, which I think is the man who misguided him from the beginning of his journey. So there's a lot of figurative language used. There are similes, metaphors, personification, enjambment, cacophony, and illusion. So we have this simile of it told increasing like a bell, the hills like giants at a hunting. There's another simile saying those two hills on the right couched like two bulls locked horn in fight. We have an illusion saying Apollyon's bosom friend. There's personification saying when something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change their train. We have a cacophony with these lines where it changes the beat and it's very stuttery. There's another personification of nature saying nature says see or shut your eyes. There is a metaphor at the beginning saying my hope dwindled into a ghost. Obviously it didn't actually dwindle into the ghost. So the enjambment helps to really keep the stanza connected, as there are times where the idea changes in the stanza. The rhyme scheme is A-B-B, A-A-B, and there is iambic pentameter in this poem. And the general atmosphere, you can tell the knight feels very deceived, he's indignant, dismayed, muddled, and the whole tone is just very creepy. So what does the poem say to me? It relates to my life. Just becoming very discouraged and being determined for a goal, having to push through any plateaus or any struggles. And, I have felt this, but we have to remember life does get hard. Challenges come with goals, so you just have to keep your head up and trust yourself and trust the process and just don't stop working until you see your success.